Hello and welcome back to the channel and a slightly croakier playthrough than usual. I'm on the verge of losing my voice at the moment. Now, we're going to play today on South Uist Golf Links by graemevood. And just looking at what he has suggested here, we're going to go 3-shot par 5 is 10th, 2 bunkerless holes are 13 and 14, and the Alps hole is template, and that's the 5th. No particular specified conditions other than black, so we're going to go pin 4. Graham has participated in a number of contests recently, and we're looking to try to get over the hump, I guess, a little bit. Now, he has done a Link style course before, I want to say in the World Cup a couple of years ago, maybe last year, can't remember. So it's not a style he's unfamiliar with. So straight away, we're kind of leaning more in the fantasy sort of direction with the plots. And I guess I'd kind of question the clubhouse and entry choice. Like, this is not a big thing, but it's an odd place to be starting and ending your round, considering that's kind of the mainland, which is where you put the village. And if we're looking for realism and kind of making it all make sense, and that kind of lends to the course feeling part of the land where it is, like you'd probably be putting it somewhere around here. That said, there's a lot going on this plot. The lighting is going to be problematic. I can tell you that now. It's way too low, which is why it's really blinding and you can't really see a lot of it. But it looks like I'm going to guess, used a plot extension trick in 21 and then expanded out through here. Kept it where it was in 23. And then we've got a range and some stuff up here. I think this makes more sense as a clubhouse location. But my guess is you wanted to finish out on the point, so 18 was always going to go there. Yeah, it just feels like what's driving where the clubhouse is isn't necessarily like. It seems a weird thing to fixate on, but I think one thing that will really help you is by understanding the plot and how these courses work. And typically they go out and then come back. Like you look at St Andrews is a great example, or Lytham, or pretty much any links. Rather than here we're going kind of in and then out, which is slightly odder. Anyway, we're going to start from here. We've got an idea of what the plot is going to be. First hole, par 4. That one of the big things you'll have picked up on playthroughs is like my CC appropriate radar is pretty high, and that's what we're looking at. Now the green, I will say, looks CC appropriate certainly with the sculpting on here. I think you've done that really nicely. Slopes on there are good. There's interest. There's enough length. Little pots around it are pretty well placed. Pretty well done. Yeah, I think we've kind of taken away the option to run it on. What I might have done, you've done a really nice job of having the runoff going diagonally here. I'd have flattened this bit out so that someone wanting to run a ball on, if say they laid back or they found the heavy rough, they can land it up on the right hand side and roll it onto the green. But if they go left, they're finding that ball off. It's that little bit of nuance that I think would help. Planting is nice on the coastline. I think this works pretty well. Not much more to add. I think it looks good. So now we're talking about the CC appropriate. If I hit driver down here, I've got a real risk of running through here, and I'm not feel like this fairway is going to bounce me pretty hard towards the left. So driver's very pinched. 3-wood I can play to here pretty safely. I would have probably given more fairway here, like make 3-wood or the shorter driver a really safe option. But it's not a major thing, I don't think. I'm trying to think, if I do hit 3-wood into the wind, and partly the wind as well, so we're taking out driver and I'm hitting 3-wood into the wind, I'm potentially leaving like quite a long way into this par 4 that pin's not got a lot of ground to land on short. So that's kind of where it all feeds together. But I think we can probably hit a slightly partial driver down here. I'm interested to see how far this rolls left. Yeah, I'd probably like to dial down those contours so that you can land you can end up in the middle of the fairway still, just with a really sideways lie. For this pin, sideways, it's tricky. A good opener. There we go. Nice open birdie. Course is a great success. We liked it. Obviously, I only grade based on how I score. A second hole. Now, let's have a look. Okay, so you've done some interesting things with the plot and brushes. I don't really understand why. And then some of these little landforms feel a bit odd. I don't really get what they're there for. Okay, so another shorter path. Oh, right. Okay, we're on 3-wood. Well, surely I'm taking driver here every single time. I just straight up don't understand this hole. You get all of the advantage if you hit driver down that way. There's literally no reason not to. And the layup zone is phenomenally tightly bunkered, and the fairway's tightened, and you've got a little pot bunker. And it's not as if I'm even leaving a pitch or anything. This one, yeah. I liked the first hole. This one does not make any sense, I'm afraid. Okay, and we're going to get, I would imagine, very dark now with the lighting that we've got. That might be interesting. One other thought on the lighting. You've gone with it coming over the high side of the plot. I wonder why you wouldn't go this way so it's never casting shadows. Because if it's coming from the low side, that would help a little bit as well. Now, that aside, the green, yeah, it kind of does a similar thing. Like although this one is always going to be a wedge shot, so therefore you don't really need that ground game option. But we have taken away the ground game completely by having false front and like drops in front of the green everywhere. I do like the choice of grasses you've gone with and the fact that you haven't planted everywhere. Planting, I think, has always been, it's generally been a strength. There's been one or two, I can't remember which one. Is it Zinca? I didn't love the planting everywhere, but planting, I would say, is mainly maybe your strong point. Okay, hole 3. So at this point, we've played 3 holes along the coast, and they've all kind of done the same thing, which is fighting this right to left camber. And I feel like you can probably change things up just a little bit. Additionally, if we're looking at tendencies, again, this one's better. There's a bit more room to run the ball in short, but let's lose this false front. Let's allow people to properly run it on. And that would really help. I think your sight line off the tee could also be a bit improved. If I do this, you can see all the stuff that I'm missing that you'd want to be able to see. It's like that front tee box is really hurting you. Lower that a few feet, move it out left, anything like, let's clear up this view a bit more. Okay, so we hit this side, and then we hit through here. And I guess for another, I see what we're doing with, like, for a left pin, you go left off the tee. For a right pin, you go right off the tee. It's kind of nullified by the lack of being able to roll the ball onto the green. That would really help, because by encouraging people to bounce the ball short and roll it on, you bring them into landing more in this area where that bunker is. Whereas we're shooting over it every time anyway for this. 10 mile an hour into. It's pretty spicy. I can't say that I love the fidget spinner green. It feels like the original green space was here, and then we chucked this portion on. It just, for a links course, doesn't really belong that well. It kind of makes sense with the slopes that surround it. Just, you know, it could fit a little bit better with the land. That said, again, definitely CC appropriate. I feel like you've hit the difficulty pretty well throughout the first 3 holes. I mean, other than hole 2 being a bit of a too easy tee shot. Good so far. Okay, hole 3, 4 even. I say blind tee shot. I would always be wary of doing this where hitting driver can really bring you into trouble, and we're pretty close to the coast. And there's trouble this way, and yeah. I just think you wouldn't route it this way in real life, where especially on a long hole where we're asking for a long approach. There are places for a blind tee shot, and by the coast, when you're running out of room, is not really one of them. That said, we do have the scout cam because I have to be really carefully looking where I'm aiming. My views on a blind tee shot should be I'm hitting over that marker and I'm going to be fine. I'm hitting this, like the ones I've played in real life. Like there's hole 10 at Burnham, which is where I was a member for a long time, blind tee shot, and you can hit 30 yards right of it and you'll probably still find your ball, but you might be in trouble. 20 yards left of it is fine. Basically, you've got an idea of in this area. If we're requiring people to look and go, oh, I've got to hit here or here or here, then this should not be blind. You've got to be able to see it. Okay. And the sculpting on this fairway feels a little, I think generally the sculpting is probably a little bit heavy. Like if you see that hog spines we're looking down there, that's really severe. Generally, I think the sculpting is pretty solid, but there's a lot of big areas. What you could use is a bit more micro contouring, like not necessarily on the greens. I like the big slopes on the greens, but just little dimples and rumples like this sort of thing down here, which you've got. That's like the subtle stuff that Links is really, really good at. It doesn't all need to be bold and in your face. And as you can see, this fairway is kind of sloping me down straight into heavy rough, which is another thing that we will comment on in a second. I've just realised it. Okay, so we found the bunker. I thought I would have gotten a slightly better angle had I played left, and I'd have gotten more ability to use that tier. I like that you've given us loads of fairway in front of the green. I love that you've given us all of this flat space because that's what you weren't doing on the first few holes. Like, yeah, really good. I mean, the pin itself on this one is more challenging. That's light yellow, and you're on the fence as to whether range is going to consider that legal. But I don't know. I mean, it's not that difficult. I'm kind of okay with it. Now, the one thing I was going to mention that you will definitely have flagged in judging is that you've gone with no light rough. And I don't really get why. In CC, you want that every single time, and you've got to have a really good reason for not going for it, I think. You do have wide fairways, but just ending up in heavy rough is such a penalty. Ah, this is our Alps hole. Okay. So off the tee, again, visually, I think I'm kind of being, well, actually, let's see where I'm initially aimed up there. Okay. It's semi-blind. I guess I kind of feel like I want to hit here, and then you look up and you're basically going to end up in heavy rough. But that's okay. That's a me thing. We've got the Alps punch bowl combo, really big forgiving green, aiming post that we can see, which is, if we hit the middle of the fairways, aim is pretty much the middle of the greens, that works. Yeah, I really like this. It's a really good hole. Just, that's fun. I enjoy that. And there's loads of forgiveness, and I could have hit a longer club in and rolled back closer. Yeah. Not much critique on that hole. So far, 35 holes, strongest course of yours I can remember by a country mile. Interesting green site. The 7-iron. I don't love this little sinkhole here because that would flood. No, there's a reason we don't do this, because it would like flood and cause issues with drainage, etc., etc. The front to back green would just be something I'd be wary of. Again, for CC, they will find this difficult because it's landing it short. I say they, I mean me as well. But like, at least I'm recognizing it, whereas there's a lot of people who will be caught out by a front to back green, and we don't necessarily want that. Plus, additionally, you kind of did it on the 4th as well. That said, I've really appreciated the last 2 holes, which haven't really used the coast, and they felt there's more undulation, there's more like interest. Like, actually, I think it's looking really good as well at the moment. Okay, somewhere up there. We'll just hope it kind of finds that feeder slope, and it's just the high side. Yeah, cool way to get pretty close to the pin. Relatively flat around the pin. Go on, turn right again. Oh, it really did. I mean, little things I'd be careful of again are like you've got a lot of breaks going in different directions. So it's kind of having an idea of where this tier is and what it's doing. So it's running into here and then down here and then back here and back here. Like you can see you've got some beads moving. Here it's going that way and then there it's going that way and there it's going that way. I think that's just because you've done a lot of moves around it and then the land has become really quite jagged. It's just that's where we've got to smooth it back out again. But a minor thing, but greens are thing that's going to affect people the most. Like everyone putts from around the hole, so we've got to make sure that area is, if not, it doesn't need to be flat. But now the bunkers themselves, pots wise, I get why we've done this because it will drop the ball into the sand. I think unless you're hit, they're really hard to do in this game. Having tried a couple of times, unless you're hitting dead in them, and that's generally the issue. You're not landing in them. Unless you're landing in them, you're not staying in them. If you hit the rough, you're probably bouncing over. That's more a comment than a critique. Okay. So it's just kind of avoid the two central pots. I don't really think I get an angle benefit going either way. I think I'll play just to the high side. Generally, I do think you're funneling the ball away from the sides of fairways a little bit. I just still don't really understand why we didn't give light rough. Feels like an easy win. I would have also liked to have seen this one defend itself a little bit better as a par 5, but I'm okay with the odd easy par 5. Yep. And again, yeah, you'd love for that to run through the textures a little bit better. There's just nothing you can do about that. So here we've got an example of a crowned pin, which is, yeah, we are defending, but it's like how we do that. Don't put a pin on an area that breaks that way and then breaks that way. Like, you're just going to end up with people putting from one side to the other, particularly your beginner guys on CC. Okay, here's where lighting is becoming an issue. Yeah, you know that you don't need me to tell you that that looks way too low, and I know lighting in this game is difficult. We got to find an alternative when that's the case. I feel I'm going to have some comments on the green when I get there. 4:30, so it's not too long. Okay, we're being defaulted to 3-wood. I mean, if I were, let's say I'm pithy, looking at where the hell I'm going, you just can't see a thing. One thing you do a couple of times, and it's a tendency I'd be really wary of. I pointed out early on the second. You've narrowed the fairway to make me reconsider hitting driver, but you've then plonked a bunker right in the middle of the 3-wood layup zone. Like, either allow this, or don't, or like pinch here and allow this, or bunker more here and allow you to play out to an area. Don't do both, because then what it does is it makes me drop back and it makes me go, oh, okay, well that's as narrow as this, so I'm just going to hit driver up here anyway. Or it makes me go, oh, okay, I'll lay up here. Oh no, I'm going to roll into it. Oh no, I'll lay up here. And suddenly I'm hitting 220 off the tee and I've got a 200-yard approach. And you've taken out all of that strategy you're really trying to inject because you put this bunker in and pinch the fairway higher up. You don't need to do both. Because in this case, I'm just going to take my chances. I'm going to hit driver and, okay, we'll hack out heavy rough, but at least I'm closer. This green is doing all the things that the previous ones weren't, and I much preferred the previous ones. Here we've got a lot of micro contouring. So we've got a little tier here, we've got a little tier here, we've got a little bit here, and it's then breaking back the other way. And we've got this big backstop, and we've got this, and we've got a backstop here, and we've got a false front here. It's just too much going on, and it's not really doing any one thing. It doesn't have a unifying feature so much. This one just needed simplicity, really. Particularly if you're stepping things up on the tee shot, you don't really need to be as prescriptive with the approach. That said, we fluked our way into a decent position. Least deserved birdie. I will say, I am having an absolute blast playing this though. I really like it. Okay. Comment about the spline fence is obvious. We don't need them everywhere. Okay, so now we're working out the other side and we see that lighthouse you've put down the other end. Really like this as a view. This looks great. The lighting really is an issue. Okay, so here it's like we've got quite a few half pipe sort of holes where I think again the decision to have no light rough has meant that you're doing this, and like it's a wise decision. If you're not going light rough, try and avoid people rolling off the fairway. But if you do the half pipe thing too much, then the tee shots don't really have much risk to them. Because the bunkers are not like what bunkers and how they play in this game, they're not punitive when you get into them and they're really easy to bounce out of. It's kind of, I think that's lending a lot of the easiness to it. I like this pin a lot. This is fun. I generally like this green, actually. This slope is a little bit wild and it's just going to kick us off the green. I like it in concept, but I'd probably soften something out here. But what I really like is like something I've mentioned on a number of playthroughs that I wish other people would do more is how uncluttered the front of your green complexes are and how you're not putting bunkers in front like on so many like faux links courses that I see or we see on here. You've got this in a way that I think the last, what was it, Ardonian, I want to say. I mean, obviously remember that for the other feature you put in on the Ardonian one, but I'd be willing to bet that there were bunkers a lot in front of the greens there as well, if memory serves. I certainly think there were some of the water features in there as well. And this is much, much better. Okay. Ooh, why are we doing this? This is another, like, this is a little head scratcher. You've done so much good with, like, the standard natural golf holes, and now we're doglegging around an entire housing estate for literally no reason. And putting OB right in the way, and there's crowds, and I want this to come across really positively because I'm loving so much this course, but it just makes no sense. And it really impacts on like one of the things in the old judging rubric was are there things that take you out of your round and like stop you feeling like the course flows, and like this is one of those where it's just like I don't get it and I don't really like it. Because now look at the shot you're making me play now. Like I'm literally hitting over and into someone else's back garden. Like surely we can see this is mental. The whole idea is good. Like take out the fact that this is a house. Like if this were bunkers or if this were water and things, and you're asking me to lay up close to it, I think the strategy is great. Like on the approach shot, I get it. It's just how you've accomplished it. Just it does not work. The pin's slightly illegal, but that's okay. I also will come back to like things we like because that's out of the way. Things I like is that you've gone for a long 3-shot par 5 and you've made the green narrow, or rather wide and shallow. It's a really good match for a wedge shot where distance control should be a bit better. So I like that a lot. I like that we've gone for the dip in front, which makes me think about like, not enough people do this, where we're pushing that second shot and making that really interesting and thinking, can I clear this and then I get a flop shot up? Like that's really like you've got the distances spot on because I've hit a decent drive and I'm still just not quite sure if I can do it, and that might take me close to this. And I can play close to here and like have a shorter one, or I can lay back, and then there's a couple of little bunkers here. There's just the elephant in the room of the house. But again, like, it's a hole I'm really enjoying. Okay, we've got the full wedge shot, which is good. That's kind of what we wanted. Flag silhouetted against the sky also looks great. Like, you've done so many good things on this hole. There's just that one really big thing that doesn't work. Ah, there we go. Shame. And I think that's one where, like, I don't know, we've tried to force something that isn't there, and like you tried to kind of do the road. The road hole exists, but even then, that's a firm boundary line to where the course has gone, and so that kind of makes sense. These are houses that are jutting out into the course, and we've routed a hole literally around them. You've got to do that sort of stuff really sensitively, and it's not quite. This par three, I feel like this is the second par three we've had that kind of goes back to front, front to back even. We have the one on the front as well. I would be lowering some of the planting here just a touch. Like, let's see that. Let's see the view looking like this rather than with this getting in the way of the bunker. And that's not a big change. Just little things like keep questioning that tee shot view. Oh no, we've missed the spot we wanted. Still, like middle of the green, I'm not. Well, middle of the green to any of these pins, I'm not going to be dead. There's so much you're doing really well on this. I hope that doesn't sound surprised. But I don't know. I'm really, really impressed. Because I guess what I will say is there's a lot of the standard links mistakes I'm just not seeing here, which is really cool. Awesome blind tee shot, wide open fairway, so you can kind of hit it wherever, but also if you just bash driver down there, we could end up near the green and have an awkward. This kind of gives me a little bit of Pacific Dunes, I want to say 16 vibes with that rumpled land short right of the green, which is an awesome look. Spline work here is a little bit wonky. I wonder whether we got what's gone on there. Yeah, if I want to lay back middle of the fairway and probably have a flat stance, I can do. I might be tempted to just raise up this higher portion of the fairway so you can see that, and therefore you're playing less into the it's always blind no matter what club you hit. I'm interested to see how far down there you can get. Well, oh, it's not going to quite hit the right side. And now I want to check. This is not one of your bunkerless holes that you're choosing, but I really like it. Yeah, because I've got a kind of finicky shot, particularly if I've got certain pins on here. Yeah, I would probably smooth out the back portion of the green just a touch. Like, it feels like anywhere here you're just ending up this little sinkhole back here. It just could be a little bit smoother in terms of how those slopes are working together, but yeah, and on this sort of a hole, you can go wilder with the green, and I think you've done that pretty nicely whilst not losing control of it. Again, tastefully done. I do not have much to critique, really. Yeah, again, like we're right up against the houses, and they just. I don't really feel like I want to be close to the houses, and like this part of it is also they're single houses, all with like this little fencing around them, and it's not like a full-on. The courses that do this really well is like where it's a really tight village, and like all the houses are close together, and it's a firm boundary line. It's like a straight line, and you're playing up against them, and then it feels like that was always there, and like where it's just there's this little backyard that happens to be feet away from here. It just feels a bit in your face, and we don't. We need it. Okay, so we talked about this before, where you've pinched the fairway. So I can hit over here, but again, like, thinking about this, I'm blind, and you're aiming me down here with driver. We've again done the kind of blind fairway, and I'm going to run out of room thing, which I'd rather we avoided. What you haven't done here, which is nice, is chucked a pot bunker at 3-wood distance, so that's good to have avoided. I think if you're pinching the fairway, just never go blind tee shot, really. It's unless you've got a very, very, very good reason not to. So I'm going to go blind to blind, which is fine by me. One thing you are overdoing is the front to back greens. And like, it's a way of making this protected and encouraging me to go this way, but you've chucked this little mound in front and you've run it away, and we've got this little fall off here. There's a lot of things preventing me from getting pretty close to this pin, and we don't need all of them. I'd have probably lost the front to back green. I'd have probably moved this mound a little bit further, but because if you think about it, if I'm landing here, I'm landing in the mound and I'm risking. We're assuming this is a hazard, right? If I'm landing here, then I'm rolling off towards there, so I've got to be so tight to it to come close. But I can't go very tight to it because that pushes me left and that pushes me down to here. But if I go here, then I'm rolling away from the pin, so I don't really have any way of getting close. Although I'm hitting a wedge, so we'll have a go. Because it might be that with the wind, we're lucky. Yeah, and you kind of see how I think how that plays out. Just there's one too many things to defending that pin, but otherwise, we've probably done a few too many of the. I'd say maybe one too many of the little bowls, but you've done a good job of balancing the pins so that this one's up here when on another green, got the pin more in the swale kind of area. You can probably do a little bit more of like different internal green contouring, so like little puffs or ripples and things like that, rather than totally requiring on a tier or a swale. Sorry. Yeah, this is very blinding again. Okay. Also think we've probably gone a bit too heavy on the blind bunkerless tee shots. I really like them, don't get me wrong, but probably one too many where the tee shot hasn't really mattered, and the aforementioned lighting. Okay. See, this is nice. We've got a little puff in the middle, or mound, if you will. And that's separating the green nicely whilst not being too problematic if we miss the exact spot. I think the greens have generally been a strength. Somewhere up here? Maybe? Oh, a bit too long. It's just a really solid golf hole, that one. Like, okay, now we're getting more into that kind of half pipey area. Shortish par 5. Kind of feel again, if I've got the longest driver, I'm being given all the freedom, whereas the guys with shorter drivers are taking on 3 hazards, which I can just clear. I think we could probably make that a little bit more friendly on them, or like put in a hazard that's really going to affect the guy with the longest driver, like something they can roll into, but the shorter guy won't. Won't have to carry. This green got interesting. There's parts of the red slopes, like these sorts of slopes, the ones that we need to kind of dial back in a little bit, because what are we trying to do here? We're running someone off down to here. And then there's a little bit, it doesn't really feel part of the green. I actually cut the green to here. I think it all makes sense. But I do like you're trying some more bold things, and this sort of contouring here to help the ball towards the green, but you end up potentially being above the pin. That's fun. I think you probably want to soften out where the pins are. I mean, it doesn't bother me really, because I was just about to say I'm playing well, and then we hit that shot. But like, I'm generally playing well. There's not like, and I get that the greens are probably the defense on this course, because tee shots aren't that tricky, and you're actually being pretty friendly with the green complex. So like the pin positions themselves. But you are going to find some guys for whom pins on light yellow slopes are going to be, well, me included, clearly. This is going to cause them all sorts of headaches, and that is something that's beyond, I would say, what we want CC difficulties to be ideally. Same thing with the like yeah, the housing estates and like how they're coming into play. It's just really in your face rather than like here's the village you're playing close to, and it doesn't all really feel unified. It just feels like it's suddenly there. Um, Lighting aside, again, I like the whole. You've not done a lot of like tiered greens, and even then, this one's got some variety to the tier. I'm not really sure the crowd's at that much for me, but I find it funny how they're all just the other side of all the hedges. Um, Again, I like the par three. I really hate the fence, but I like the par three. Go on, get on the yeah. Okay, we got on the right tier, and there's a little bit of a backstop for it. Now I have a horrible putt, but that's my own doing. That guy in the crowd got a great view of it. Okay. 17, playing back down towards, you've got that. Oh, we've gone back to back threes. So, okay, my question with back to back threes is always if you're going to do them, I think they have to be like world beaters of holes. Like, you cannot, there's nothing in your routing that could possibly have given you anything else. Like, you had to include these holes. This one's a, don't get me wrong, it's a nice enough par three, but I wouldn't have given up anything to make this one. They are testing different things. One is uphill, one is downhill. I really like this approach. Like, of the two par threes, this is by far and away the stronger. But would I have gone back to back par threes for this one? Because this one is a transition hole to another par three. And actually, often you can make your par threes your transition holes. I know Harry Colt would typically go and find his par threes first, but for most other designers, you're going to use them always as like transitioning between elevation and like find the pretty spot or something like that. I'm not even saying necessarily hurts, but I don't love the back. I just feel like you have to have such stellar back to back par threes and them to feel really natural, and I can't miss in order to do it and have it work. I like this one a lot though. I would definitely have kept this one. I'd have probably just gotten to it in a slightly different way. Oh, shame. The reason I like this one, little subtle things that you are doing so much better than you've ever done them before. This little mound at the front would have probably flattened out this area and allowed me a little bit more of a way to land short and get onto, but I overhit my shot anyway. But like that as a way to funnel balls gradually left or right. Really nice. And big kicker slope that's not running us off the green. Like this green, this has some really good subtlety to it. I'm going to enjoy replaying this one. The previous par 3 was solid, but unspectacular, and that's why I wouldn't have gone the back-to-backs. This one is one that I would have kept. Tell you what, I'm in B -6 through like 9, maybe? Kind of stalled on the back 9. So the road here does make more sense. I still think this is an odd location for a clubhouse. That said, coming back to it, I definitely don't mind it as much as I did. I don't really like this as a closing green site. It's quirky, it's kind of understated. Like, it kind of makes me want to play down this fairway. I think you can get a lot of people doing that. Because it's long enough that I definitely don't want to be coming into this pin from this side. So, I'm sorry. But you've got, yeah, we've got to know that people are going to do that. And that then gives me all of the angle, all of the helping slope. Not a very long approach either. Still didn't hit a great shot. Yeah, a little bit again with your greens. Like you can see, you've done a lot of raises, and just you need the occasional flatten, like this bead breaking back, and that one going that way, and that one going that way. Occasionally, you can get them really stubborn where they just refuse to move. But if it's going back the other way, that's usually a sign that we like hard. Like this one's not moving that slowly. Usually a sign that we've just need to flatten a little bit more, especially when you see the different speeds these are all moving at. Like that's a tricky read for anyone. It generally shows we've done a little too much raises. Too many raises in this area. I'll catch that last bead. Oh, it did. I knew you put that bead there for a reason. 7 under. I mean, okay, so to sum up, like, it is your best course, I would say, by quite a distance. I think you do so much right there. It's very, I would say it's very easy off the tee, but mostly it's a lot of fun to play. Now, if I were playing my standard how many holes can I remember game, we're not going to do that well, because links courses tend to be really difficult to add defining visual features and things that tie in, and suddenly they're just a list of 4s and 5s, and it's hard to remember them. What I can tell you is there weren't that many that I thought were misses. And the one big one was obviously the 10th, and I think generally the village added far less than it took away far more than it added. But there's a lot of really good shots out there. There's a lot of really good green complexes with limited bunkering, lots of like open ground game, focus on the undulations. The undulations aren't too wild. Like, this is the sort of stuff I've been hoping you'd be putting together for ages. I really enjoy it. The lighting is an issue. We've mentioned that. The plot, I think, could be a little better tied together, but as in where you put the clubhouse and that village, I think you need to think about like how that actually looks rather than just dotting houses around. Like that little bit of research, and I was not someone who was good at this ever. I spent ages picking Jiza's brain on how to put down a village and where to put them and what do you look at, stuff like that. So like really researching the area, but I thought compared to your other previous attempts at links golf, this one you got it far, far more, and it plays so much better as a result. There's a few holes it wasn't wow, but like other things like back-to-back threes we mentioned, the repeated front-to-back greens occasionally could be one thing. The repeated blind tee shots that maybe pinch the fairway as well would be something I'd look at. Some awesome approaches that I'll definitely remember, like that approach to the 5th hole, that Alps shot is really cool. 18th has a lovely little green side as well. Like you've done a lot of quirky things in an understated way, and that's a hard balance to find. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this. Great effort. So good to see you produce something like this, and like love it. Keep more of this. Well done. Best luck in the contest, and see you again soon.